Daniel Libeskind once famously quoted, "Architecture is not based on the principles of concrete, steel, and the nature of soil. It's based on wonder." I'm architect Karan Anand, introducing you to season 2, episode 7 of Moñö Architecture, All Things Design, brought to you by our brand partners Highbeck, Kitchen Studio, and Turquoise. Today we have with us Ekta and Rajiv of Red Architects, two such designers who've brought this very wonder to us through their tales of designing and intriguing storytelling. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Rajiv.
I'm Ekta.
Hi guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about this shoot. So before we kind of deep dive into Red and your practice and your projects, which is out there already and everybody knows about it, I want people to know, I want our audiences to know about who you guys are. And I was doing a lot of research on y'all. You wanted to study medicine and for some reason that did not work out. And Rajiv, you started woodworking in your 7th grade. Which is crazy, right? I think I didn't even know how to play cricket properly at that point of time.
That means there's already too much been said about us.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how these things kind of shape who you all are right now.
I say this all the time that I think this profession found me. I didn't go out to find it. It was a pure case of chance. My mum is a doctor, she's a surgeon, and I wanted to pursue her path. She was always inspirational to me, and I was a very nerdy kid and only stuck my nose in my books till my 12th grade. And now, so at that time when our results came out, there was something called the Mandal Commission, and I'm dating myself now by saying this because you probably don't know what that is, but it was way back, and they had a stay order on all professional admissions. So engineering colleges, medical colleges were all on hold, and
It was related to, I think, reservations.
Yeah,
quotas
reservations.
and stuff like that.
Right. And it was a time when you finish your 10th grade and then you finish your 12th grade and then you already have a 2.5 month break, and then this was indefinite. So I was like, okay, I need to do something. So it was as random as I have a cousin in architecture school, and I was helping her over the summer break because she had already started college with putting some models together and sticking, and it was craft for me. And she's like, you know what, you're pretty good at this, why don't you apply? So I'm like, why not? I'm like not doing anything for the summer.
Why not apply to a 5-year course?
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Kill 5 more years. Yeah.
But I think the funniest and the rudest shock was for me when you did the entrance exam, right? I went in with like a pencil pouch, very used to doing scientific diagrams of the heart for biology because I wanted to head into medicine. Cut to, I'm at this JJ College of Architecture. Everybody's there with like watercolors and charcoals and like palettes and stuff. And we had to draw a pedestal with a sculpture on top of it. Okay. I couldn't even draw the pedestal because I'd never taken an elementary or an intermediate exam in my life, right? So it was horrible. And I came out laughing, saying, well, it was a fun experience. Because I had a great physics, chem, math score, I got into my shock and horror, right? And I still remember making that call to my dad, who used to work at Ballard Estate at the time, saying, listen, I'm in JJ College, I've gotten to architecture, you'll come and pay my fees. And he's like, what? Because he had no clue.
It happens on the spot, huh?
No. So this
took some time. I was wondering.
It took its time.
It took its time, but yeah.
I'm trying to keep this
brief.
But it was as random as that. And to be honest, I think just coming in from a space where you studied or you were behind closed doors in your books for like 15 hours a day to being in a space which was super creative, you had no right answers, everything was subjective, everything was a point of view. I think it was liberating. So it was love at first term of architecture school.
Nice.
So it was nice.
But then you did get into medicine, you never went back.
I never went back.
Oh, you got into medicine as well?
Yes, well, eventually this lifted and then...
So architecture found her. Because architecture found her, I was able to find her.
That's true. That's true. That's very poetic.
That's very, very poetic. We've got a quote now.
So I mean, for me it was just, I enjoy theory and I can sort of sing the song and say the spiel. If I have to talk about architecture in a more
Fair
sort
enough.
of conceptual way.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think I always lean towards more the nitty-gritties of it, like how things come together, how things work. I like my hands dirty. I don't. So when it came to choosing something to do in the future, I mean, it was very clear for me that I needed something which I could, actually physically manifest a creation of an imagination. To me, just sort of conceptual ideas or even Excel sheets, or bio I was terrible at. So I even skipped it in 11th, 12th. I took economics versus biology in Xavier's. But yeah, so it was kind of, it was a natural progression for me. So it was either I would be a carpenter or anything a little more sort of white-collared or
hands-on,
compared to
basically.
that. Yeah, but I had to be hands-on. So I still think I'm happier at sites. I'm still happier resolving stuff on the ground versus, sort of ideating in isolation.
Right.
So that's definitely been my leaning.
That's amazing. And you both studied at Kamla Raheja. So, I mean, they have a great alumni, they have great educators there. So, did that kind of shape how you kind of practice today? Did you imbibe any philosophies from there, or was it just an educative process that you kind of completed?
So, I actually started at CEPT. So I did 1 year at SID. And I still think Krishna Shastri was... Sen Kapadia may not be happy, but Krishna Shastri was more formative in me being who I am and sort of leaning towards certain approaches for me. And that's School of Interior Design, not CEPT Architecture. And then I did a year there, and then I swapped to Kamla Raheja and I started from scratch again.
Because he met me is what I like to say.
Which is true, which is a little bit dramatic, but true. Because I did actually come back from CEPT and I kind of saw myself going down this path where I don't like your face, I'm not going to do your studio.
Okay.
I don't need to do this. I'm sort of, it's that sort of architecture God syndrome.
It was like Howard Rock from Fountain.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a little bit like that, where you kind of get into the space where I don't.
Isn't it? We all went through that. In my first year, I read Fountainhead and I was like, oh wow, this is how life is going to be, and I felt great. I was like, I don't like a building, I'm just going to bomb it. Perfect. But then I got into the industry and it was nothing like it. It was like,
But that's the truth of it. And but I did sort of come back here, and I did attend. Sen was nice enough to let me attend a couple of different studios at Kamla Raheja. And then in the break in between, I went for a birthday party, which a friend invited me to. More to actually do the decor, not to really attend the party, but because I worked really hard on the decor, he said, you know what, you might as well just attend this.
Aa jao.
Tu aa hi ja, That's where we kind of met and sort of connected. And then I didn't go back. So.
And then after that, you all studied theory of architecture as well, right?
Okay.
You all traveled abroad and you studied at Pratt and UPenn. So, how was that journey? What was your thought process from that? Have you all studied art movements there? Do you all still imbibe those practices in today's?
So I think for me, UPenn was like eye-opening, right? It was completely. We still came, and I'm putting myself back in terms of the age that I come from. But we used to actually do hand drawings till almost the 5th.
No, we did it as well. Right? We did it as well. So my entire architecture was hand drawn.
So, I mean, I think we just about started AutoCAD when I finished my thesis. And then you went into a studio which was it was completely paperless, right? And I think that was the first shock value. And here you still had, I remember doing an AutoCAD class back in the day, right? To learn AutoCAD, right? And it's like an innate, and now it's just a concept which nobody will understand. But back then, when I went into architecture school, it's like you had to teach yourself Form Z, Maya, Softimage. They were the softwares they were using to model. Correct. And it meant just hours of sitting in the studio, figuring this shit out, which you have no idea about, right? And I think while it's overwhelming, I think it also teaches you so much about who you are and what your capability is, and just resilience.
Problem solving as well, right? Because you're like, I don't have anybody who's going to guide me through this, so I need to do it, and it kind of also makes you who you are as a person through life.
It does.
True. And I think it's also a different thought process, right? It's a very different approach to design, to be given these parameters which will shape the influence of your decision on what is being built at site. So I think it was a very eye-opening approach, at least for us.
No, I think it, at least for me, Pratt started me on this journey of exploring, right? And basically, I think what I imbibed, at least, and again, I think education is very personal, right? You may all attend, 40 of you all may attend the same course and the same teacher and the same faculty and the same sort of gamut of studios, but what you take away from it is very different for each individual, and that's I think what I like about architectural education in general, compared to it. It equips you to basically explore, question, and sort of form your own learnings, which then if you sort of take that knowledge and then you can, I have architecture friends who are in different professions now, and I think that core stays, and I think for me Pratt was that it basically said that, look, let the practice be a constant endeavor to, do one notch better, to one notch different, to one thing a little bit better. I think it's sort of established forever that I don't think there's a finality to it.
Yeah.
There is no I have accomplished or I have arrived. I'm just figuring shit out, right? And I think that was something that I enjoyed at Pratt.
Also, I think the capacity to keep it multidisciplinary at some level, because you could cross
because you had
pollinate
various
courses.
things,
I mean,
Yeah,
he did a film course.
Yeah, I did theatre, film, photography.
I did printmaking. It was just exposure to different design
You
avenues.
automatically become way more explorative, right? I mean, you watch a Wong Kar-wai film and you're like, why does my space not look like this? Yeah, so I've been through that a lot, but it just doesn't happen. Yeah. That's amazing, guys. Thank you so much for this information. You all started Red in 2004, if I'm not wrong, right? So what was the journey to Red? How did it begin? Did you all get a project first and then did you all start Red, or because it's not a very commonly heard story. Like, I've not heard it myself, so I would like to know.
Yeah,
I think we've...
I think we've spoken about it on several platforms, but if you haven't,
I have, but I have
so
to.
we both had
I have, but I'm just like...
Yes. So we both had a master's degree, studied in the US, worked in New York for a couple of years, and then moved back to a 110 square foot bathroom to design. And we were very excited because this was our own bathroom. I mean, not for ourselves.
I think we put some, whatever, master's degree, all of that. But it's a reality check,
yes,
right? You
I just think that you come with this background,
and then
right? But you have to do what you have to do. And were we going to say no? No, we were not going to say no. Did we put everything that we had thought of into that bathroom? Yes.
Too much.
When we look back at that bathroom, I'm just like, oh my God, like what were we thinking?
But calm down, it's one bathroom,
But they did hire us for their house like a couple of years later.
Yeah. We actually came back and she kind of assured
us. It was a
us.
110 square feet bathroom.
Yes.
That's a big bathroom. That's a big bathroom. Was that in Bombay?
In Deonar.
Yes.
Oh,
or
it's in
something.
there. Okay, then it's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, it was...
So the beginnings were very humble. The beginnings were very... they kind of shed any kind of misconceptions that you were going to have about what lies ahead. But a reality check, to be very honest.
No, but Red, honestly, to answer your question, that Red started off or was conceptualized when we were, I think we were basically doing a round of all the museums, saying, okay, we're going to migrate back, get married, all of that stuff. So let's visit all the museums one last time. Let's kind of get our fill of New York. And at the Whitney, and we were, of course, ideating on what name to come back and start a practice. And at that point, we sort of bumped into the visiting in this sort of postcard, which had Korean new font and the dictionary meaning of red. And that was the postcard. And we were toying with the idea that, we want to be a research-driven practice. We don't want to sort of be static. We want to constantly be evolving. So we were playing with research and evolve. And of course, design is the most obvious thing. But we knew that we didn't want it to be name-based. Like, I had worked with Shakti Parmar, there's Rahul Mehrotra Associates. So these are all sort of names known by the founders, right? So TP or any of these sort of stalwarts of the design profession. But that's what we did not want. And the funny thing was that we decided, okay, we're going to call it Research Inquiry Design Red. The acronym works, the font works, but we're not about the color, so we're going to do grey and blue. So we did all of that sort of overthinking of the logo and the name.
Thanks to time.
Thanks to time. And then we come back, and then I'm telling my grandfather, we're going to call this research. We're going to call it Red. They go, Rajiv Ekta Designs. And I'm like, no, we didn't want to do this. So funnily enough, we didn't think of it until he put it in there. We didn't connect those dots. So sometimes, like, it's about perspective, right? You come at it from one angle, you're never going to see that other angle, even though it's right there in front of you.
That's a lovely story. Rajiv Ekta Designs. It's going to be stuck now.
No, don't. Maithili will kill us.
Okay, that's amazing, guys. you all also, before you began Red, you all worked with some amazing designers, right? You all had some really great experiences. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey to Red? After like kind of finishing your education and then working with some mentors, and then was it like something that needs to be done for people who are aspiring to start their own studios right now? Do you feel like it's important, or do you feel like you just jump in?
I mean, I think it really depends on the person. To be honest, I think if I had to do it differently, would I? No. I think I loved what I did. I worked in here with Vandana Rajiv.
Yes.
She was my thesis guide, and I absolutely love her. And I think it's a beautiful practice. Back then, they were only doing residential homes in the mountains. So they've actually, I think, lived in Bhutan for 7 years, building these beautiful and I think the control over a slope is just beautifully done. And I think I learned a lot from that experience.
I think they're still excellent at it.
Yeah, I think just the way you
the
handle
ability to
the
navigate a
problem.
landscape.
It's an art.
It's not easy to, even for an architect to visualize and sort of imagine.
And also to keep the scale intimate. There's a lot of restraint in the practice, which is hard to do. It's like it's hard to keep yourself from going overboard. And I think in the US, I actually worked for a small boutique firm, Relpro Design. Her husband was a lighting consultant. She was somebody who did small boutique homes, and I think I enjoyed that scale. It made me travel a whole lot all over the East Coast. And I think it was nice. I mean, I wouldn't do it differently. Whether other people need to do it, I think it's a call that people need to take themselves. So.
Yeah, there's definitely a learning when you work in a studio.
Yeah.
But there's also an obscene amount of learning when you start your own practice.
Exactly.
I feel when people are working in a studio,
The trial and errors are crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's massive learning on the job, but you can burn goodwill and never get it back. So there is that sort of danger. But also a lot of people, when they start their own practices, they suddenly are far more motivated, far more driven to wake up early, come on time. But while you're an employee, you kind of take things a little bit complacently because you don't carry the burden as severely. So it depends on the personality type. Like I realized at CEPT I was becoming a person that would take 18 years to finish an architecture degree. So it was either I get out and do it in 5 years somewhere else and waste 1 year, or I waste another 17 years or whatever number. But no, I was saying something about, I was reacting to what you were saying. But yeah, so the before, in terms of, I think so post my masters, while I was studying, in fact, I worked with J. Butler and then I worked with P. Wolf, and one was basically doing restoration work. So I would do scaffold drops on Central Park West buildings, examine the facade,
look into
brick
those
by
beautiful
brick.
homes.
Yeah, peep into beautiful homes and say, okay, maybe I'll have to be born again. Yeah. But those were lovely. So that was a whole different experience. And P. Wolf was a whole different story. So they were working with more senior living and educational projects. But parallelly, they would also do approvals. So I got to deal with the whole New York building department of buildings of the entire 5 boroughs.
Crazy.
And then I got into this sort of specialized niche where you kind of ask for recons. So recons are reconsiderations. Which means that if there's a particular generic allocation of purpose for a certain zone, you want to ask for rezoning for that. So very challenging because you have to interpret the bylaws and then go present it to the commissioner. And it's just a 1-page recon because no one's going to read too much. So you have to be concise, precise. So to me, that was it was a whole different part of being an architect where I didn't think I'd ever sort of focus on that. But it was a good learning for me there. I think those were the two different things that I did there.
That's amazing. And when you came back with all these experiences and you started working here, how different was it?
Dramatically, you started with the bathroom, yeah.
In an
But
apartment.
even like dealing with people and all of that, like the systems and all of that, like what was...
I mean, to be honest, I think we just about spent about 4 years out of here.
That's a lot, that's a lot. It's a lot of time.
Not so much. I think we plugged in quite easily.
Yeah.
Honestly, neither one of us struggled.
I think more than industry, I think we struggled with logistics, right? It's like, it was so easy to get a Wi-Fi connection and a phone line in the US.
And
but
here
here it just became a project, right?
It's easier here now. Back then it was hard.
And now it's, I mean...
Now it's a lot easier.
It's a lot
But
easier.
it was so like there were those things which were problematic.
Yeah.
But I think we were always from here. We at some level, at the back of our heads, we knew we always wanted to come back. So I think it was a choice made, and I think then it helps you deal with whatever's thrown at you, right? It's like...
Yeah. And also, like when you all were studying, right, or when you all were dealing with all of these designers and these beautiful experiences, you all encounter a lot of magical structures, you'll encounter a lot of art movements, you'll encounter a lot of philosophies, a lot of theories, right? For example, when you spoke to me earlier, when you talk about Howard Rock, right, and how maybe that doesn't work for individuals, right? Or when you talk about, say, brutalism or Bauhaus, and these influences are very, very strong internationally, especially if you're in Europe or in America or all these places. So, were you able to kind of, when you came back here, were you able to imbibe any of those philosophies into your work here, or was it just like on the go, you know, like we'll figure it as we go?
I don't think either one of us was severely influenced by any of the movements. To some extent, at least for me, it was always about, yeah, that's great, they did all of this and I love it. Yeah. But is it relevant to me as a person I am today? And I think my approach was always, whether we're designing, whether we're doing a hospital or a residential project or schools or even private homes now, or I think we're always very sort of keen to listen to the stakeholders, their perspective, their experiences, and their perceptions, and the baggage they bring while they're going to experience this space. So I never took to that God syndrome. Yeah. Right. So I just felt that, look, eventually it's the person who's using it needs to be enamored with this space, or like totally in love with the experience of the day-to-day existence in this space. And that became the focus. So it was never for me about expression of a movement or trying to sort of get this internal bharas out of, you know, I'm in love with this idea, now I need to build it. So let me find a bakra who I can, you know, have finance this. And I think that stayed. So as much as there are learnings from all of these sort of things, like, I mean, we both talk extensively about Deleuze and sort of Guattari and a lot of their philosophical writings. And that, I think, stayed with me. So that's a Pratt hangover, right? And that thought process, but that's very rhizomatic. It's about disconnected, realities, kind of not linear time, not linear thought. So you can sort of jump, right? And typically, my brain is like that, right? I can jump from a detail to, I can zoom in to zoom out. I can start talking about A thing to B thing, and I'm always sort of toying with multiple ideas. So in my studio, also behind my cabin, I have this artwork which is this sort of very serene, calm face. It's a Kunal Nayak. Yeah, it's a Kunal Nayak work, and it has these sort of 6 wooden arms.
And it's called distraction.
It's called distraction, and the arms can all be adjusted. Right, so there's a bit of a lever here, there's a bit of a lever here, all the fingers, and all of these are sort of clamoring for attention, and I think we both relate to that methodology, that sort of ideology or the thought or the philosophy that it doesn't have to be linear. You don't have to always sort of.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think the linearity helps the diversity of the practice and the diversity of the scale.
The lack
at
of
some
linearity
level.
helps.
The lack of linearity, sorry.
The lack of.
But so the point is that, I mean, a lot of people ask us also, it's like, are you specializing in a particular type of work or B? And I think for us, the more interesting part is the diversity of scale.
Every time something weird comes up, we're like, let's do that. You know?
I mean, the fact that you can work on furniture design as, like, you know, going into completely detailing out this table, all the way up to, like, you know, maybe urban, at an urban level, we were doing a campus.
A master plan for campus.
For an educational trust. And I think it's, for us, that's interesting because in the same day, you can go from macro to micro.
Equally challenging and equally interesting.
And I think that the rhizomatic thought sort of helps in that direction. There have definitely been influences, though. I would probably, I mean, maybe direction it differently. But we've had the opportunity and the exposure to have a studio by Daniel Libeskind. Listen to Bernard Schumi talk.
So I chose the right quote.
Right. Absolutely. And I think there's a certain magic to which narration happens, right? And I think just talking about, of course, Bernard Schumi calls his red structures follies, and there is a folly in which the construct has happened, and of course we're not going to delve into that direction. But there's a certain beauty and
it's really interesting.
It is absolutely. But I think there's a certain beauty in narration, right? And I always feel like when I'm sitting in a lecture like this, listening to somebody, if you just close your eyes and you're just listening to them talk, and sometimes you wish you don't open your eyes because sometimes the visual is not connecting with what they're talking about. But I think it's the importance of the narrative and then that carries forward in when you're talking to your clients. It's how you explain the narrative to them. It has to be about a story. It is a story, and it's a story about them, which keeps them, I think, involved and invested in what you're saying, and therefore easy to convince.
They kind of reciprocate, right?
Exactly.
Because you're talking about them.
About them. It's like, otherwise, like, they're not interested. If I'm explaining this Bauhaus concept to them, they're like, I don't care. You know, it's like
they're like, it should.
It could be the same concept,
Right.
but it needs to come at it from their perspective and from their language, something that they will resonate with.
And the word you used, you said that relevance, right? So it has to be relevant to their space.
True.
Theoretically, everything sounds beautiful, but to actually execute it for somebody staying in a space is completely different ballgame. So that's amazing.
Just yesterday, I was in a meeting, and it's a large house. It's 5 acres of land. We're building about 40,000 square feet of a home. And then we were sort of conceptualizing that we basically created spaces where, because you have the luxury of space, which, I mean, we're in Bombay, so space is minute. But in that context, so the idea is that, okay, you want greens, you want this, all of that stuff. But here it's like the idea is that she very clearly wants a jungle within which her home is. To sort of calibrate that further, she wants her living spaces to be gardens, correct? But mosquito-free, air-conditionable, right? And the plants have to survive, right? So now, to me, it's super cool. To me, it is amazing to have
This is like a thesis project.
Exactly.
This is like a dissertation. This reminds me of architecture.
So imagine glasses with sort of glass roofs which move up, but heat doesn't come in. You know, so now these are all ideal scenarios, but I think there is so much out there in terms of materials, finishes, etc., where now the burden is on us to imagine. Right? Don't tell me this cannot be done. That's not an answer anymore for anything. If you can imagine it, there's someone out there who's able to build it. Right? So now you need to just find the right collaborator, the right person who can sort of give you the knowledge that you are lacking to make that idea come to fruition, you know. And that's the beauty, and I think now design professionals are also happy to connect with each other. You know, so this was actually a project which is for another designer, and the client reached out to me to help with some components of the execution, right? So I'm not the designer for the job, so they already have someone on board, and that designer is comfortable enough to recommend our name, to be able to collaborate, right? And I think that's, to me, that's the ideal world we can all exist in.
And it should be that way.
It should be that way. Like I almost like emphatically
you know, like
want
when
to
we
say
started Moñö, like when I was having a conversation with my wife, the whole concept of Moñö was that I want to meet designers and I want to have a conversation with them and ask them to help other designers.
But coming to your point on collaboration, because I don't want to sort of miss that, and sharing of knowledge. I'm a strong advocate, so I'm going to talk to your camera.
Nice.
But I really think for all of us in the fraternity, be it senior, junior, aging, dying, or just starting your journey, whichever sort of part, whichever part of the journey you're in, I strongly believe reach out to people, be honest in your communication, and just let people know what you're up to. Correct? Let them decide to trust you or not trust you. Correct? You don't seek out information that they might be cagey about. So don't try. Don't sort of try and intrude in information that they may not be comfortable sharing. But you put your information out there that, look, I'm cool, you want something from me, I'm available. Right? 99% over a certain period of time, people will automatically be transparent. You know? But first you need to be that yourself. And the minute you put yourself out in that manner, other people will resonate with that energy. And there'll still be a couple of people who are cagey and guarded and stuff like that. But more often than not.
Yeah, that's amazing. In fact, when you talk about this, when I had just graduated, I had gone to CDSA where late Christopher Benninger sir was kind of the big boss there.
Right.
And we were working on a little bit of a project, and I had graduated from architecture, but I did not know how to make an English bond, which is sad, right? I forgot, because we had done it in the first year when we had hand drafted it.
WB you forgot.
I forgot. So then I was there and he's like, make an English bond. And I was just like,
okay.
There's a closer, and I was just like, yeah. And then he just looked at me, smiled, and he said, I know. And then he took a butter paper and he got a T-scale and he got a set square and he got a pencil. He sharpened it. He with a cutter, obviously, not with a sharpener. And he drafted that entire bond for me. And I was just looking at him, and I have goosebumps even now. And I was like, this man who does not know me, who has achieved such heights in his career, is willing to do this, and he did it with such joy and such happiness. And I was just looking at him, and that just changed me. I was like, okay, this is what life is, and this is what humans should be like, and this is what a practice should be like.
True.
And just transformed me completely. So it's beautiful that y'all are speaking about collaboration and all of this, because it's rare.
Right.
It's obviously there now, but there is a lot of...
It's there a lot
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing it a lot more because enough people are making an effort to be sharing resources, to be helping each other. Because it doesn't matter, you'll always need help.
Yeah.
Right? And I think even in terms of mental illness, you always talk about the idea that, look, I think the bravest thing is to acknowledge that you need help.
Yeah.
Right? To put yourself out there and say, okay, I don't know this.
Yeah.
Let me pick up the phone or call someone or go visit their studio and tell them, look, dude, I need help with this. I can't figure this detail out, or I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Or I'm stuck on this blank canvas and I keep drawing the same damn circle, Whichever way it is, like it works for three of us in the practice, right? So I think we are our own biggest critics. And I think the reason why Ekta and me get along is that there's no ego. Like she went to UP and I went to Pratt. We went to different studios, to different sort of design schools, simply to be able to have a different approach. We both got into the same schools, so we could have chosen.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay, so you all chose to...
Yeah.
We chose to sort of have a different experience,
Because
intentionally.
we'd been in the same
you all were there
school
throughout.
here.
Yeah,
so it makes sense to kind of...
And if you're going to eventually sort of be together and start your own practice, then you might as well have different perspectives come to the table versus, echoing, you like black, oh, even I like black. It's good, you like black, I like beige, let's be, different about it. But
It's actually refreshing. Thanks to social media, we have enough engagement. And I think it's when people approach you to say, how did you build this and how did you do this? It's actually nice to take a minute to answer that question, because you're helping somebody out there, and honestly, let's be really honest. It's very hard to be completely original, right? Just with the bombarding of imagery that we have.
And there's always something there already.
Correct. There is some point of initiation that you will start from. And if you can just take that and use the information or the learnings or the mistakes that you've made and help somebody else so that they don't make them, why not, right?
Yeah. And then you spoke about how it's like a stepping stone or learning curve for you all, even something as intricate, as simple as a basin, which is actually very intricate. So how does that work? Like, do you all like to focus on the nitty-gritties of design, or is it an overall look and feel of the space? How does the dynamic work between you all?
So I think we, in principle, we have similar
between
ethos.
us?
Yeah. Between, like, how do you all operate?
We don't work on the same projects.
Oh, you don't work on the same projects?
That's why we can stay married. Because I've seen studios where couples work together and design's so subjective. How will you ever agree on anything? Right? And then who supersedes who?
Yeah. Pragati, she's laughing there. She's just recently joined my practice. And
No,
it's her practice.
Separated.
No, but do your own project.
Yes.
Yeah.
But lean on each other for advice when you're stuck.
It's also
Tag
time
team.
efficient, no? At the end of the day, like to get both of us
Exactly. So you're
at the same time. This is a real privileged morning.
Yeah.
But otherwise
I
it
know.
doesn't happen.
Ask me about it.
Yeah.
But it's you're just being more time efficient, right?
Yeah.
And as it is, like when you're doing homes, when you're doing these homes, you already don't have like just one person you're dealing with. There's a whole great Indian family you're dealing with, right? So you have 75 opinions from the family perspective. Then you're going to add 2 or 3 designers.
20 opinions of yours.
Yeah.
It is just not fair.
It's not fair, That's amazing. So Red has set the benchmark for innovative design. Whether you'll agree or disagree, it is a fact. It is a fact. Your content, your projects, all of it, right? It kind of inspires all of us to kind of make that basin, or do that project.
I think Red has become the basin walas.
No, yeah.
Importantly for us as a practice, not just recent, I think since the time we started, was to sort of question the norm and not go down the,
It's like you come up with option 1, which is your default, like you said, So the first thing is you sketch that option or you think it through, but that is not to really build, that's to flush out of your system.
Okay.
Correct? I saw these 100 images for a house, now I'm designing a house. Let me sketch it, okay, done. Sort of crush it, throw it away, put it on the side, and then say, okay, this I definitely don't want to do. it works, it's easy, my client's going to approve it. No problem. That's my shortest way to the end goal. Now let's figure out that, okay, having said that this is doable, now what is a little bit better, a little bit smarter, a little bit newer, a little bit challenging, but to sort of get that brief, distill the soul of that brief, and do something for that brief which is far more rewarding for the end user. It's never about experimenting with material. It's never about that. Like any of the innovation which you see, like the plane staircase we put up recently, it was not because kuch naya staircase karte. It didn't come out of that. It came out of, there was a RCC structure within which the staircase was already built. So this was a project we inherited half-baked, correct? So certain things were already there. Now this staircase was destined to be here. The client hated glass, correct? My default in sort of reaction would have been, okay, build a glass staircase, put a skylight, kind of what's the light?
The
membrane light.
Which looks like sunlight but is not.
Yeah, come on, old man, think about it.
Parasol.
So like a parasol ceiling and a glass staircase and you're done, right? The client said, I hate glass. I'm like, okay, that takes. Then I'm like, oh, but I definitely want light percolating through, right? So, okay, let's do a metal perforated staircase. And we've done like 3-4 of those. So I'm like, okay, that's easy to do. The client was okay with it. I'm like, okay, so this is already done. What next can I do? And then Priyanka, Vika's story, engagement, trying, testing comes in. So I feel the process of innovation is when you're open to conversation and you're open to question your own default idea, right? And I have a lot of these mad things up my sort of being the bum, as she calls it. But so now we're kind of trying to do something else where, sorry, what do you say?
Be in the bonnet.
Yeah,
But anyway.
He adulterated it.
Be in the bum doesn't work? Works. But yeah, so fundamentally, so what we're working on now, right, is that there's me, there's a client of ours, and there's a finance professional, Satya, Gopal, and me. And 3 of us are the general partners in a private equity fund. So we just filed for SEBI registration now. So we'll have it in about 45 odd days. And but the idea of the fund is again this whole point of architects coming together for me to build the fraternity, for me to encourage the fraternity to engage with each other, right? Initially, like I would never go to a vendor's event, right? When I started off my journey, I would not even allow people to publish my projects.
Oh,
right. The logic was you were more cagey, correct? And we all go through phases of maturing, right? As a practice, as individuals. So it's okay to sort of go through a certain phase, but it's okay to also learn, evolve, and realize you were wrong, or your perspective back then was maybe dated, and you need to sort of transition, or you need to learn, or be different. So in that sort of end goal, what we're trying to do is that it's a fund where the limited partners, the investing partners, will be about 50 to 75 architects. So these are people who are approaching, having a certain scale of practice, having a certain ability, and having certain knowledge of certain sort of pockets of our industry. We'll be taking funds from them, smaller funds, and then we're making it into the larger pool. And this larger sort of fund is only going to invest in our industry. Correct? So it will, it's basically going to invest in companies which are trying to either scale up, where there's a proven model, or it's going to invest in innovation.
That's amazing.
And the idea is that when 50, 70 of us come together, and then we're going to vet the products being put out. So automatically you're kind of getting, you're being tested by fire, right? So whichever company we choose to really put our money where our mouth is, right? So what do clients typically say? I'm going to recommend a particular brand or a product, but I've not tested it, I've not lived in it, I've not built a home in which I've used those products myself, right? But I'm just a specifier. But here we're actually testing, and then we're putting our money where our mouth is. So when I'm saying, okay, buy XYZ product because I believe in it, and if that company does badly, I do badly. Correct? So I obviously will only invest in a company which is doing something well, has a quality product, after sales service, reach, etc., etc., etc. And then of course, automatically by default, it kind of ensures that we're growing. Our wealth is growing because of the companies that we've invested in, right? And it kind of shies away from this kickback format or any other notion like that, right? because I'm formally creating wealth for the fraternity.
Yeah, because you're now part of that organization.
Yeah, I'm openly saying that I'm investing
Yeah.
in this company, and there's no harm in saying that I've invested in a company. Right? Because I believe in the product that they're selling.
And the potential that they can have if funded.
And don't buy from them. As a client, if hypothetically, if I've invested in, I mean, Turquoise definitely doesn't need my money, but if I've invested in Turquoise and I recommend Turquoise as a brand, they have the ability to say, no, don't buy from Turquoise because Rajiv has an investment in it.
Yeah.
Sure, go and buy from anyone else.
Yeah.
Right? There's no one stopping you.
Yeah.
But at least it's legitimate and there's belief in that product. Turquoise will sell to 100 other clients. You're not forced to buy from them.
Yeah. And is there a way for brands to kind of apply for this, or do you all choose?
No, so we have a deal flow. Okay. So Satya has already a platform. Okay. You plug in all the details. It's very systematic, very organized. It gets calibrated. We have 10 analysts who will sit and analyze the business. Also,
this is already up and running.
This is up and running. We're just not launching it because the rules of SEBI is that after you get SEBI approval, then you can launch a fund.
Fair enough. Okay.
And there's very stringent compliance on the private equity world, right? So it's legitimate. It's no hanky-panky. It's everything straightened up, you know.
Yeah.
And the idea is that there's open collaboration, right? So you create a platform where people to engage.
That's amazing. That's a really, really interesting one.
The fund is called Blueprint.
Fund is called Blueprint. Okay, amazing. Okay, guys. So now we shall take a break from this very, very interesting conversation and play a game. Okay, and the game has a hamper, so you all have to be competitive. Okay.
There's no problem.
I'll just do the 5 shots.
Okay guys, so now we're going to play a game. Ekta, I'm going to start with you. You already have the headphones on, so I'm going to start with you. We're going to play some music, okay? I'm not going to tell you what the song is. It's going to be loud, and then I'm going to try to lip sync or like whisper some words, and you have to guess what these words are, okay? If you get the word wrong, or if you can't guess it, you have to have a shot. If you get it right, you get a point, and then I'll do the same with Rajiv.
Okay.
And at the end, the winner gets a nice hamper. That is sponsored by our brand partners, Turquoise Highway and Kitchen Studio.
I can't stop laughing. Okay, ready?
Music is this word. I can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Am I shouting?
No.
No, that's fine.
Okay, I'm starting. Okay.
Katra.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Biomimicry.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't even get it without the headphones.
Wow.
So I'm going to just have the 5 shots.
Plaster.
Listen, you're going to lose, huh? This is crazy.
I'm telling you, I'll just have the 5 shots. It's easier.
I'm loving this song. Veto.
Just have a shot.
Thank you.
Listen, I don't even
What
know
is
what
that
this word is. Phenomenology.
Phenomenal.
it's
You
yum.
broke it up.
Yeah, I broke
thought you
it
were
up.
saying like vino, pinot noir is what I was reading without even...
It's too early in
I'm
the
like,
day.
you're going to wine from architecture? I'm like, okay.
You would love this song.
I can hear it.
Lengthy.
Glazing.
Just say it as one word. That's easy.
Glazing. Okay. Glazing.
I'll be like full.
Yeah, we're done.
I'll be full.
Yeah,
Okay, you're done. 5
we're
hours.
done. You can have the shot though.
What was it?
Glazing.
Glazing. And what was the veto?
Phenomenal.
Phenomenology.
Oh.
That I would have never got.
They tried that with me also. I was like, I told him to stop. I asked him to change it also.
This is yum, by the way. Okay, was
It
I
is?
shouting?
Huh? No, you weren't. You're supposed to like, when you have the shot, you're supposed to pretend like you don't like it though.
I'll just take
Oh,
the shot.
that was damn good.
Yeah.
Let's start.
He's ready.
Okay. Should I start? Okay.
Same song. Oh, I know the song.
Can you hear it?
I can hear it.
Poor guy, yeah. It's 10 a.m. for all of us.
Monolithic.
Wow. You guys are great, huh?
Was that right?
Yeah.
Penetration. Sorry. I can't hear you.
You want me to change the song a bit?
Yeah, no, just reduce the volume.
थोड़ा सा कम कर दो. It's too loud. With eardrum must be.
Yeah. He'll hear the word otherwise.
Tanki. Allen key.
Close enough, but you have to have a shot. Hierarchy.
Hierarchy.
I thought Allen key or Tanki. Actually, good shot. Okay, bring it on. Lambi.
Okay, last. Okay.
Too many words. Start from zero. Is it one word?
4 words.
4 words. Like a sentence.
Second word. Summer.
Okay, chuck it, dude. That was the last one?
Yeah, that was the last.
I'll have a shot.
A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh, Midsummer.
Yeah.
It's our project.
Yeah, it's your
It's
project.
Nandini's house.
Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, I was trying to see if you can. Yeah, it was. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that, but that's a tie,
It's
no?
a tie. We'll share.
We'll have to do. No, we'll. It's okay. We'll. You want to do a tiebreaker? Okay, then give me a word. Well, you want?
It's going to the same house.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we should give both of the
In the
numbers.
essence of collaboration.
No, I think guys that we should do a tiebreaker. Okay, both of y'all have won this game. Okay, that's amazing. So I'm gonna give.
Whichever way you look at
Yeah,
it.
so I'm gonna give both of your lampers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations,
Thank
both
you.
of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You want them to open it? Should we? Y'all can open it if y'all want.
She'll take damn long.
I'll
She'll
take damn
open
long.
it. one
Oh, you're
tape
that
at a
person.
I'm that
time.
person.
Yeah. And she'll give him the wrapping
Yeah.
paper back so that
This will make a good reel though.
You can fast forward it. Like
No,
now
this
I'm
will be
under
like we'll
pressure.
just all of us are looking at you and this will be like that reel where we're just like
Take your time.
take your time. We're just like
This is good. We can recycle it.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
session, you can give the same wrapper.
Yes, yes. See, you're putting me under pressure, so a little bit tore there.
She's very upset with herself.
I can't tear wrapping paper, by the way. Okay, you really don't have to watch me. Like.
we have to. There are 3 cameras on you. We don't have a choice.
It's therapeutic. I would normally take out the
Tape as well.
tape as well, put it on the
Do you
side.
recycle the paper?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Folded
That's
files.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
of
awesome.
course.
And then
That's
my daughter
awesome.
will take them randomly and paint on it.
And paint
or
on
something
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
That's
She'll make
lovely.
it another wrapping
She's a
paper.
constant
Wow.
creator, so this
That's
is all fuel
amazing.
for her.
Yeah.
But this I'll give back here.
I mean, I don't blame her for being a creator. She's surrounded.
No, one is, the other one is a squash player.
Oh yeah, she told me she's a national squash player. I tried
She in fact has a...
for a long time.
Oh, you did? But you enjoyed the game that
I
much.
love squash.
Yeah, which is
I
great,
love
but-
squash. It's amazing.
I think that's enough. You just have to...
Yeah, I
Play
had
for the love
yeah,
of
yeah.
it,
I
yeah.
had too many injuries though, and
Oh,
then
thank you.
Oh wow, nice.
Thank you, thank you. This is lovely. Yes, of course.
so they've embossed
Thank
that
you.
in the tile.
Waterproof, washable, all of
Yes, nice.
For you to remember.
It's a testament
Nice,
and
nice.
it has the
It has that
hand
embossing.
embossing.
Yeah,
It's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Can I read the question?
Very
And
cool.
as
Thanks,
promised,
man.
I will
Thank
give you the paper back.
Okay, guys. So after that very fun game, where both of y'all have won, unfortunately. Okay, we will talk about. I would like to talk about interdisciplinary collaboration.
Lovely.
Yeah.
We'll keep that.
Yes, keep it.
Interdisciplinary collaboration, right? So you all do a lot of that, right? Working with artisans, working with other designers, working on projects together, collaborating with multiple different avenues and ventures, right? So what is the concept behind that? How does that work for you? And do you have advice for other designers to follow with the same principles?
I always have lots to say. So
I know.
Yes,
you
please,
start
on this
because you
subject,
will
yeah.
jump.
Yes.
I can jump in.
But yeah, so I think it's the only way forward,
Yeah.
right? I think the idea that one person can do everything is failed. It's a fallacy. I don't think it works. So it's important to realize what you're good at and play to your strengths, and where you're not, let's say not as good, not weak necessarily, but not as good as, reach out to someone who you can work with, you know. And we reach out to other architects, landscape architects. I mean, inherently, look at our profession, right? Architecture is all about collaboration, whether it's your steel bending guy, your concrete guy, your shuttering guy. You start from there, right? You have your excavation, you all the way through till your curtains, till your tracks, till the smallest of things, right? You have a range of different people having expertises in different professions, in different aspects of, if you can call it as your related sort of professions. And we're always kind of like, at best, we're kind of the orchestrators or the sutradhars or the, composer or whoever. Like you're just kind of putting together. So when all of this comes together, and then the sort of music flows. So in that vein, we're working with Ashish, where he's doing the interiors, and we're doing the architecture. We're doing a whole bunch of projects with Netharwala Aibara. We're doing stuff with Abujani Sandeep. We worked with Gauri Khan closely at some point.
We've just started working with Iram.
With Iram, we're doing this beautiful sort of Ranthambore project. And again, on that, there's a global collaborator. There's Iram, there's me. There's so many different people, right? And I think it's beautiful that when you guys sit and discuss, if you don't make it combative, if you don't make it about your ego, then it's actually collaborative. And then, you say something, I say something, different ideas get stimulated, sparks fly, and, something new comes out of that conversation. And I think we're a strong believer in that. And,
I think it's even from people in the studio. It's like, I think our studio
the same
works
ethos in the studio.
In the format where there is, at some level, a certain sense of hierarchy, just because we've had people, kids with us from 8 years to 15 years now. But it's great to see a new energy that comes in, and it's actually great to learn off that. Some of these new kids who come in, one is they're not jaded by practice, by what is possible, what is not possible. So it's an open field for new ideas.
And you almost encourage them to speak up. Right? It's not like you're allowed to speak, you're encouraged to
And the fact that
disagree.
You don't keep them at a drafting level, right? It's unless you allow them to speak their mind and bring design to the forefront, you have a very different perspective on doing things. And I think that's what's really interesting for us, because you'll turn something, so it's almost like every team works on all aspects of a project, right? Wow. So right from design concept, meeting the client, because it starts from interpreting the brief as well, right? It's like they have a requirement list. But what we say is we need to spend time with you because you're not designing a home, you're designing a lifestyle, right? And that's important.
And for these kids to understand how meticulous you need to be when you're listening to the client, right? Those first 5 hours, 6 hours where you kind of go through their whole life, literally, you engage with everyone separately, together, is important for them to learn, right, within the studio. So we'll try and encourage that even the youngest kid who's just joined, come for that first meeting, because then they'll hear something which I didn't hear. Or they'll hear the subtext differently from what I heard.
Or just interpret, exactly.
Right. But I think it works. Like we have a furniture factory where we're then, in that role, like my sister runs it, so I'm not involved in it significantly. But through that, then we're engaging with all sorts of different architects, designers, clients. So that again gives us more collaborative opportunities. So
what's it called?
It's called Craftred.
Okay, Craftred. Okay.
So it's where it's a 40,000 square foot manufacturing facility based out of Bhiwandi. So that is something that produces all sorts of furniture. Not the type that is. It's more panel based. The processing is more panel based. So we do hospitality in that. We do all sorts of institutional projects, offices, wardrobes. That's what allows me to sometimes create these mad ideas, because
you
I have that infrastructure to lean on.
It's also like a lab, right?
It's like a lab, which is difficult to get also.
True,
right?
And it started from that. It started because I would bump into factories, producers, carpenters, and the first thing you come up with some mad ass idea, and they're like, "Sir, वो नहीं हो सकता है."
नहीं हो सकता.
I'm like, "नहीं क्यों हो सकता है?" Right? And they're like,
"नहीं हो सकता है." Size का problem है, module का problem है.
So then I needed, so I think we started working with them to create a team of people who will basically say yes
to everything. Basically, you figure a solution.
कर सकते हैं. हाँ, ठीक है. It may cost money, it may be time, it may be trial and error, it may be experimentation, it may be mistakes made, but कर सकते.
That also distinguishes your work from, say, a generic project, right? It makes a difference. It's like this is a red piece, basically. So that's important.
Yeah, definitely allows us to do that. So.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, and when we talk about legacy, right? We talk about this. We had Nari Gandhi, we had Lee Corbusier, we had Charles Correa, we had all of these amazing planners and designers who were a part of our beautiful culture, and they left behind a lot, right? And now I feel like even though our we have a lot of architecture, we have a lot of interiors, I feel like it's waning, it's fading out a little bit, where the concept of leaving behind a legacy is kind of almost does not exist anymore. So I know you'll talk about it. So could you tell me a little bit about what your approach to this is and what you feel this is?
So I think that has been from the onset, and I think when it came as Red being a name which was not associated with our names, though it's perceived as as differently by his grandfather. The idea was to have that name which continues beyond us, right? Because so many international practices, Dahadi's practice continues way beyond her. Of course, it's her name, but it goes on to do what she started to do.
Of what the practice represents.
And you also have so many people who've been with you along this journey, who've given you between 8 and 15 years. It's it's not a short span of time for anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
And to have put in that much energy, blood, sweat, tears, laughter, joy, to bring the practice from that 5 people practice to what it is today, they've also been such an integral part of it. And then why not have them bask in that,
continue it basically,
in that
they
achievement?
have every right to be equally invested and equally benefit from whatever Red achieves. And the idea is that which is why we kind of try to, architecture has always had the idea of mentoring. Right? But I think what happens is that real day practice, you kind of get jaded. Right? Typically, you'll start mentoring one kid and then, for whatever reasons, could be personal, could be any other reason, but that child ups and goes or chooses other priorities over you, and you feel jilted. Right? And you're like, screw them all. I don't want to help anyone. Right? It's human tendency, right? If someone does something foul to you, or you perceive it as an offense, even though it's not, right? It's honestly that child is pursuing a future or an agenda that that child chooses, and that child has every right to choose their own path and change their path along the way. Even if they chose like, I'll be with you for life, but there's no guarantees in that. And I think that is where, to some level, practices get a bit, not that focused on mentoring younger talent, right?
That felt like the music in your headphones. Sorry,
so experiences like that sometimes will jade the people who are at the helm. So our intention is honestly, and we keep telling the kids in the studio also who've been there, that you want to work with people who believe that Red is something what they want to be a part of. Right? But for that, we have to work hard to create a space, a physical infrastructure, as well as an ethos that people want to be a part of. Right? So that burden falls on us to begin with. And then it falls on the rest of the senior team to sort of breed the next layer accordingly.
Because it should not be about us. It should not be about our founding partners, all 3 of us. Like, it should go beyond that.
It's about the show.
Yeah, 100%. It has to be about the show.
Exactly. And if I think it's really hard to do. Right? It's not an easy ask of anyone. As the founders of the company, or as the people who are devoted to the company, both ways. I think it's a difficult ask for both people, but if that magic is believed in, and if people can sort of follow through with it, then what you create is something that everyone can be proud of.
There's also that aspect of letting go a little bit, right? Which is very difficult to do, especially when you work for years and years and years to create something. So the letting go is very, very difficult.
I think that because you have people who've worked with before, then again your focus is aligned. Correct? What are you feeling so strongly about? Is that something is not compromised, something is done the way you imagine, right? But if you're able to kind of look at it saying, in the long run, even if it goes south a bit, I'm there, I can fix it. Right? So if in your role you're able to allow the people who are sort of coming up the ranks to fumble, to make a mistake, or to keep an open door and come in and ask you if they're struggling with something, then you're fine.
I think it also gives them ownership and more interest. It keeps them more invested. Right?
They're more responsible as well.
Yes, but also the trust. Like, I trust you, do what you think is right. And automatically I feel like that person works that much harder to do what they feel is right by the project.
They feel good about it also, right? Because it's like, this is my baby now.
Absolutely.
And Instagram lets you share credit, right? Like, I'm thinking pre-Instagram era, I could never acknowledge
Yeah, the
that
people.
Karan was a significant
Yeah.
contributor in this project.
Yeah.
Right.
The clients would know, everyone would know, but it was limited.
Yeah.
Correct? Now, at least when you're tagging someone, you're sharing credit, you're acknowledging it, right? They feel that, okay, no, I'm being seen.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of it is about being seen.
Yeah.
So if for some reason you're perceived as being unseen, then the insecurity creeps in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure oversights happen, that sometimes I may not have acknowledged someone. But typically we tend to acknowledge people who've left our company 10 years ago. But if that project comes up,
Or then you still.
and even if
we
they've started their own
yeah,
practice and whatever it
That's
is,
amazing,
right? We'll still tag them because no one's taking away anyone's glory.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Honestly.
And why not?
So,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
True.
That's beautiful, guys. Thank you so much. And before we wrap up today's amazing conversation, we're going to play one more game.
Awesome.
Okay?
Bring it on.
We're going to have a rapid fire, and this also has hampers,
Oh,
right?
lovely.
So hopefully one of y'all wins in this. And by the way, the judges are going to be them and not me, because then I get biased or whatever, so I get blamed. So I'm just going to leave it to them. Now we're going to have a rapid fire round. Okay, Rajiv, I'm going to start
Let's
with
change
you.
pose. Let's
Yeah.
get more aggressive and combative.
I'm going to start with you. You have to give me like quick answers, okay? And then the winner of this gets a hamper. All right, so I'm going to start. If you could apprentice under any architect, living or dead, who would it be?
Probably Zaha. I'd be shitty at the tech of it, but I would
Zahadi?
love to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll all be shitty at the tech of it.
Yeah.
There's, you
can't keep up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't. If you could choose only one type of light to use forever in all your projects, what type of light would it be?
The temperature or the
Anything.
I mean,
Medium, temperature.
I have-
yeah, the temperature would be 3000 Kelvin.
You can't ask a question to the question.
No, specific. Is he talking
Yeah, I'm
about like a
getting stressed
decorative
out there.
light,
I'm
a
like-
technical light?
Could be. You could say sunlight.
Oh, no, I didn't think of that. Okay, but yeah.
If you could, you said 3000 Kelvin. That's as technical as it.
But it is. It's
But that's a
bothersome.
good. Yeah, that's a good. That's a good
I'm
number.
like, the world is using 2600.
Yeah,
Why
it
are we
doesn't
even
work.
talking about 4000?
Yeah. If you could read only one book over and over for the rest of your life, which book would it be?
Actually, Deleuze and Guattari.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I think every time I read it, something more reveals.
ठीक है. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Obsessive, detail-oriented, and forgetful.
Listen, did you all realize something? So, I said the same 3 words.
About you?
Really?
Yeah, like they were asking me this, and I said the same 3 words.
Wow.
That's so
Well,
weird.
well.
That is so
very
weird. Yeah, chalo, that's it. I'm going along the right path
Yeah.
there. Nice.
No,
So
now
now
you know
I-
who the hamper has to come with.
Me. I never get these hampers. I never get any gifts from Turquoise. None of these guys.
Not cool. Not
Yeah, not cool. Neerabhai, not cool. Listen, you say this to me before every episode.
जो टाइल चाहिए ले जा दुकान से.
मैं आज टाइल उठा के ही जाऊंगा. If you were to be reborn, would you still choose to become an architect? If not, who would you rather be?
Private equity.
Nice.
No,
Money.
but yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun also if you know your job. Yeah.
I'm just, so I'm always curious to explore new businesses, right? So there's an opportunity to actually just study different
Yeah.
avenues of what, like we have a client who does beads.
Beads.
Yeah, they make small beads.
Wow.
Right? We have someone who makes,
She's laughing.
yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a really successful business.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure,
I want to
I'm
go and
sure.
see their
Yeah,
factory. I want to
hum
see
bead
how it is
banate
built.
Like any kind of
all
beads.
kinds.
Any-
Look at
all
the
sorts of
shape,
embellishments.
size,
That's
material,
crazy,
color.
yeah.
It's, I mean, the
That's-
possibilities
yeah.
are endless.
And there are
but-
upwards of like 50,000 different things that they make. And to see that production,
It's crazy, yeah.
it's amazing. Like I have another client who does iron ore mining, another client who does seeds. Seeds means which go into farming.
Acha.
And there's a factory that makes seeds or processes seeds.
If you had to look at the universe through a prism, what would it be and why?
If I had to look at a universe.
If you had to look at the universe through a prism, what would you see and why?
Tricky one, dude.
Yeah.
What do I see and why?
I said
I
cat.
don't know. I'm thinking of it's like, sorry?
I said cat.
Cat.
My cat.
No,
My
I
rescue.
would. Yeah, I mean, to me, what comes to mind is Inception, the movie. Like
Inception,
all sorts
yeah.
of distorted realities.
You're
would
like a
come to me.
proper architect.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll get
He's
all
like a
sorts of
proper
distortion.
Right from 7th grade,
Yeah.
na?
I feel
Woodworking,
bad.
tub
My
se.
answers were horrendous compared to his. Who says cat? I rescued 2, so that's the only thing I mean.
Sweet.
Yeah. If you had a choice where you could use only detailing and no minimalism, how would you do it?
Oh, fully OTT, but I would make it like funky, over the top, mad.
Nice. Okay. If Tadawando built a bridge and Lee Korb rebuilt a city, which one would you walk through?
Bridge.
Bridge. Nice. Lovely. Okay, we're done. Okay, lovely. Those were lovely answers. Thank you. This is going to be tough, huh, guys? Lot of pressure.
No.
No pressure.
He's actually better at these one-line answers.
Listen, you can't give up before.
No,
I think
I
you're
won't-
going to
I
win.
won't give up.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to win. I'm going to push you. Okay, let's start. If you could restart your career,
Shoot. These guys. Go for it.
I heard coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Once you use color, then yes, please.
No,
know
it's okay, it's okay.
Ah, take it, take it.
No,
take,
no, I'm not
please.
going to sip in the middle of this. I'll do it.
Just
Yeah.
can you wait till we finish? Go for it.
If you could restart your career and follow the path of only one art movement, which movement would it be?
Wow. Stumped.
I've been
Dramatic
trying to bring up
pause.
this topic for the longest time and now it's come in a rapid fire. Which art movement?
Oh, the Renaissance, I think.
Lovely. Okay, that's nice. I was going to say something but I won't. I was going to I said I hope not Hiranandani but then I scratched. Yeah, I was like, let's not. What's your architectural superpower?
Multitasking.
Have you ever sketched on a napkin in a cafe? And what was the sketch?
I've never sketched.
Really?
Period.
Like
I was-
ever?
Ever. I'm not a sketcher. I'm
It's
thank
better than
God
me.
for
I
digital
sketched
tools.
auto. Spot two things in this room which if you could stack on one another, it would resemble a building.
Oh, those two basins right there in front of me.
Nice, yeah. Okay. If you get to leave your hand imprint outside an iconic building, which building would it be?
I know I can't leave it, but it'd probably be the Blur, the installation project by Dilas Kuteria.
That
I know.
imprint would
That's
blur
why I
away.
can't, right?
Yeah, it would not. Yeah. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Passionate, hot-tempered, energetic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Organized.
Let's finish quickly, guys. If you could turn any famous artwork into a building, which one would it be?
Oh my God. I think
Answer for you.
Jitish Kalat's Wind Studies. I thought so.
I thought of Jitish's work. I didn't know which one you'll pick.
Nice. If there was a battle of material between Nari Gandhi and Charles Correa, who would win, stone or brick?
Charles Korea.
Charles Correa. Done. Okay, lovely. Lovely, guys. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a close one. I think we'll have to do a vote. Who's won, guys? Who's won?
For me, I think Ekta.
Ekta's won? Okay. Yeah. Well done.
The hot tempered was a key plug-in at this point.
इससे डर के रहो वरना गए.
Yeah, I think because of the hot temper, we're all.
चलो रील जल्दी जल्दी बनाओ.
It was a strategic.
So your vote is divided.
No, I think Ekta has won. Ekta has won. Chalo, well done.
Karan gets the deciding vote.
Well done, guys. Amazing. That was so much fun. We would like to present the hampers to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We've got a hamper for him also. Actually.
Yeah.
Just in case. He was hot-tempered as well.
Yeah.
I prepared. Okay, guys. So before we wrap up, I would like you all to address our audience and give a little bit of an insight on anything you would like to. Something informative or something, some advice or anything you would like.
Who's your audience? Like students?
So we have students, we have young designers. It's mainly them.
Okay.
Karan, so can I clear this? And then
Yeah, sorry.
Just take it
Sorry.
to the kitchen. Can you take the hamper out? You give it to you.
No. Thank you.
And this hamper was a stressful one. I forgot to book it last night. And then I called her at like 5 a.m.
Okay,
and I'm
okay,
like,
I know.
Okay, sorry.
So,
Highway ruling.
Love it.
Yeah, sorry.
just take the line again that they need to address the audience. Okay. Go. Quiet in the back. And
Thank you so. Sorry.
action.
She is scarier than you now, right
I
now.
can see.
Yeah. So, thank you for that amazing conversation. Before we end, I would like you to share a little bit of an insight on anything you'd like with our audiences who are watching before we wrap up.
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I think my advice is normally repetitive. But typically, if you're a student or a young designer, I think what I learned, and which I think Karan has also learned from other people on his panel, is that I think the secret sauce to success is start your day early, be passionate, work hard. Whether you're doing it at your own practice, whether you're working for someone else, whether you're continuing with design or you're migrating to any of the related professions that you choose. But I think just persevere at it, keep at it, and that's your secret to success.
Amazing.
Yeah, I just want to maybe add one more thing. Just always stay relevant, no matter what. And this is a life principle. I feel you can never date yourself. So stay relevant.
Yeah. Even when it comes to relating to your children, so
Absolutely.
listen to the music that they listen to. Stay relevant.
Like the one you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that is amazing. I think it's a wrap. Thank you. So I'm going to ask you questions with options.
Okay, first we will see the question if we like the question.
Otherwise, I'll just give both
We'll
of you
do-
a hamper.
Oh yeah.
Does an answer has to have a shot. Which country did the Rococo style originate in?
I don't even know what Rococo is.
It's not bad, yeah.
It's horrible.
Who is considered the father of modern interior design?
Mono Anand.